Peace, everybody. You are now listening to G Consciousness Live. Y'all know what it is? It's late night soul food. Late night soul food. We just having a discussion or discussing some things, Possibly it may be some brothers joining in. We already got Israel Doctrine in the house. He quiet. I don't know if he getting ready to lay it down or what. But eventually he cut his mic off when he ready to speak. 12:24 a.m. Central Standard Time. Yeah, I know what it is on the East Coast. It's 1:24. So if you up with us, then join us. And then also on the West Coast, y'all know it ain't what it's 10:24 on the West Coast. So if you up, come on, get in and get some of this soul food. We just dealing with a couple of things and pulling some things out and sharing some thoughts basically. So when the brothers come in, hopefully, they got some insight on some things. So, it is what it is. Yeah. So, unfortunately today, I had a late start, work started at 2:30, just now getting off. I wish I could have got off a little bit earlier. I could have, did some other things and set up possibly some other stuff to talk about, but we're just gonna do it like this. What's up, Israel Doctrine? Israel might be having some mic problems, but we're gonna see if he gonna pull through or not. See if he gonna. I see we got Mikael Ben Israel probably gonna get in here in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Up there in Chicago, Shot Town. Shouts out to the boy Virtual TV. Type in Virtual TV. Look up the boy. He's going to be he's lifting his platform up. He's doing a test run right now. So shouts out to Virtual TV. If y'all can go to his page, click and subscribe just as well. Click and subscribe just as well on my page. If you can. Israel, what's going on?
What up, man?
Chilling, man.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. What was going on?
I don't know. I have to drop out and come back in. But peace, everybody. What's up? Yeah, man. I woke up to see I changed the game again, man. I'm a game changer, man. I don't know why people don't want me to give me my props, but I know they know.
Oh, Mikael Ben Israel said he can't get on. He need a number. I don't know what he mean by that.
I think when it depends on what Google Hangout settings you have when you get on. They got that old Google Hangout and they got the new settings, the new Hangout thing.
Let me see. Would I be able to?
Yeah, but this versus that concept that I came up with the Bible being the best tool for our liberation. It seemed as if they own it again.
Oh yeah, that's always gonna be a That's gonna be the thing debate. I mean, that's it's always gonna be that because people they want to discredit the book. You know what I'm saying? And any little thing they find that they can see in there that they can discredit it, that's what they gonna do. So that's up right there. Yeah, so for those that's listening in, if you want to get in on the conversation, I posted the link in the on Facebook, also on my Google Plus page. So if you want to get in, you're welcome to come on in. We just chatting, whatever goes or whatever conversation, come up, we're gonna deal with it for the most part. So Israel, what's new, man?
Man, I woke up and I seen this flyer. It said the debate topic has been, you know, more thought of and point out. Let me show you the flyer and I'll read the flyer if I can find it right quick. I downloaded it, but polite them and done it again. They don't know what to do. They need direction, man. Give these cats direction. But they don't never want to give me no props, but it's all good. So can you see that?
Hold on, I'm clicking on that. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
I really can't see it.
I see it real good on my side.
All right, okay. So you see they got Judaism and Torah trial.
Yeah.
They went back to the Kemenon trial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they're gonna give a cross-examination of Kemet science. Then they did the Hebrew plagiarized Kemetic doctrine? Did the ancient Egyptians have a God concept? Which one will be liberating the people? Which one will liberate the people? Torah, Mayat. So you know that straight up off my playbook.
Mm-hmm.
So did the Egyptians believe in God? Should our people share the same God as the Jews? And so on and so forth. So it's a beautiful thing, man, to see that, I get them guys directions, man. They never want to give me credit for nothing, but it's cool. That's the way the community do, you know. All this conversation that they having now and things they deal with, it's 2 years old. I birthed that conversation a while back with Sankofa over there in the House of Consciousness. I believe he's the spokesman for the House of Consciousness now. And we was gonna do that. We didn't get a chance to do it, but we was gonna do it. So at the end of the day, I'm running the House of Consciousness.
Yeah, buddy. One of what's coming on over here,
Then I just I took care of Shah on
what
that subject on my channel. Showed them, well, the text is not valid. It don't deal with homosexuality. It don't deal with a lot of different things. It's not a great text to liberate our people. That Mayat Kemetic stuff, it don't liberate our people, man. What it do, it takes them into the Egyptian religion.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even deal with that all the way, because I just picked up a E.A. Wallace book for 25 cents at our local library. I don't know how it ended up there, but it deals with resurrection. So even with that was my Dr. Mayat debate. Salvation, reconciliation, resurrection. Man, they just going over all my old stuff. I see why they don't even want me to talk over there, because Ron, you need to turn your.
Let me turn that son.
Yeah.
Can you
I
hear?
see why they don't want me to talk over there, because I be killing them. They want to talk about everything I talk about. So when I go over there and talk, I'm the man, and they don't want me to be that. So that's all right. They shouldn't have changed that thing around like that. I'm finna go through there and beat that debate up before they had a debate. They might as well just stop that debate, because I'm finna beat that debate up before it even start.
Let me ask you a question. What you think about the first one when it says plagiarize?
Plagiarize? Nah, it ain't no plagiarism. That's just like saying Eminem plagiarized rap. He didn't plagiarize rap. If
Mm-hmm.
he'd have took lyric for lyric, then you could say, okay, he plagiarized that rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had these concepts in their cultures, and that's the Mesopotamia and Samaria and all these conversations that come up. They had those things in their culture. Did they end up in Egypt at some point in time? Egyptian culture? Well, or did they come out of Egypt and end up in those cultures? Well, you know, it is what it is, man. You know, it's human history. That's what they keep forgetting. It's human history.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you start from the Big Bang and the first humans, notice that everything else the humans did, no matter what, was human history. So you can't say I can't tell my family story and how it relates. The Bible says that Israel was down in Egypt. It said Abraham was down there before then. And Abraham had a situation where he thought those was ungodly people because they was doing as Abraham did. They had a pantheon. Abraham had a pantheon of deities, and his father had a pantheon of deities until he encountered this one that was true and living and really dealt with him in a sense. And then I guess that's when you could say he became what's the good terminology, the scientific terminology.
I don't know. You
When you
tell
give
me.
one God,
What is it? The
yeah, monotheist. He, he became monotheist.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Kevin,
what's
what
the
you?
what's the difference between Abraham and the Egyptians? Who said Abraham didn't have some of those Egyptians deities in his pantheon?
Mhm. See,
Well,
see.
if we're saying that he came from that part of the world, then he had to, because we could show that even the Egyptians had some type of relationship with people in Mesopotamia in that area. So if Abraham did have those same guys, which I think Laurent, you found something some time ago where Bess was even found.
Yeah, Best was found in Mesopotamia, northern Mesopotamia, and also down in southern Mesopotamia as well too. When you deal
Right,
with Susa and Elam over in that area.
And
right.
Ben said that Bess was yeah.
Yeah, I think that the earliest I seen Best was in northern Mesopotamia, and I think it predates down in the Nile Valley. Yeah, so my perspective on it, my perspective on it when you talked about plagiarized, um, we see early on that in the book, we see in the text that it's before it even comes to dealing with Israel, it's dealing with a charge and or people overall in general. Matter of fact, let's jump to it because Genesis chapter 10 or 11, matter of fact, because I don't want to misquote it. Chapter 11. It says in Genesis chapter 11 and 1, it says, and the whole earth was of one language and one speech. So y'all know if these people got one language, one speech, they dealing with the same thing here and nothing other. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar, right? And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach into the heavens, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So we see the people coming together for a cause, um, that most likely wasn't what they were supposed to be doing, because we see that the divine, when the supreme intellect, the most high God came down and dealt with them. Watch what it says. They coming together, they doing what they got to do. They didn't say, let us make us a name. It's always somebody want to get a name, or the people want to get a name, basically. And this is where the problem started right here. It says, and the Lord came down to see the city and tower which the children of men had builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Now mind you not, this is at the antediluvian period, or the chaotic age during before the flood, right? Now, if you notice, he said everything. I mean, he said whatever they imagine to do, they will do. What we see in Genesis chapter 6, when we look at Genesis, it says that they did all wicked and evil things that they imagined they imagined they did it, right? So we see now from this perspective, they coming the same way. So it got the creator's attention. But before they can even go any farther, he caused them to be confused in their languages and make divisions of well, he caused them to be confused in the one language they had and make a division or diversity of languages, right? So we see that. So he comes down and says, the Lord came down to the city and the tower which the children of man builded, and the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they all have one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand what another speech. So in other words, the Most High already they building, right? And what they building to him, and how the way they come together in unity is something that's displeasing to him. Not that unity is something that's displeasing, but if you're coming together the wrong way, then that's what displeases him. If you come being disobedient and you joining hands and you coming together, it displeases him. So we see early on that these people come and they on some foo fop bam type of stuff, so to speak, whatever that means. But anyways, so we see it, right? So we see them building of what I would say a new world order, or a order this against the creator, the Most High God. You know, Israel wouldn't use that term, but I'm using the term though. So anyways, all of these people, one language, have one agenda. They understand, they've been taught, and they know the same things, nothing different, right? So it says that therefore the name of, it says there, so the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth. So when he scattered them, eventually they would have retained that knowledge of what they known, but at the same time they couldn't communicate with each other, but they retained that knowledge, so they left off the build. So it's evident that they would have remembered and retained that information, and wherever they were scattered, they would have took that concept with them. And this is why when we look at the text, we see when it talks about mystery Babylon, the religion, we see that every nation has drunken of this system, or this beast system, or this way of life. Why? Or this new world order concept. Why? Because they was all there at one time. So therefore everybody has the same information. The only difference is they could not communicate with each other, and then we will see them calling on their gods or different divine ones, or deities and other tongues. But in actuality, when you look at and you study these gods or divine ones, they the same thing, and they all are doing the same thing. So that's what we have to realize. Nothing was for real plagiarized. It actually was just passed down by the ancestors, and when they passed it down, or some people was there, and when they was there at this appointed time, they retained that knowledge. When they left off into their own lands, they retained it, and it was passed down traditionally, and some of it got perverted, and some of it was true. And this is why you have Abraham coming like right after this chapter, and once he comes, he's given a charge, and the charge that he's given is to keep the word of the Most High God and follow his commandments
and that's what he's giving. So, I mean, it's real simple, people. It's not really hard at all what we're looking at when you're dealing with this Bible. Now, if y'all notice something, the New World Order system that we see that's being formed that's on our dollar, that system is the same system they was trying to build now. But that work was stopped then. It was stopped then. Now it has been started back again because now since people understand through the way of transliteration and alphabets and commerce and trade, therefore now they understand each other, they can start back building again.
Right.
This is really where your masonry and all of this stuff actually come from. The builders. This is the
Right.
real builders right here.
Right. Because the thing about it in masonry, from what I heard, is that it just took men with skill. And with those particular skills, they were able to shape their society. They were the ones who shaped their society, or were the builders. And it was the ones who made the buildings or built things. They were the ones that were given the inner secrets, or they were the ones that understood what went on and what was the purpose of things and why things were built. Like the Masons, they were the ones that built the churches during the papacy and things of that nature. But you made an excellent point though, Laurent, because if you look at it, we can see clearly that it came from a spread from that period. That's why they have knowledge on building high mounds or building mountains or temples. Because if you looked at it, they always looked at them as a high religious symbol. Like if you look at the Canaanites and their use of El Shaddai, they looked at the mountain as the primordial mound that we look at in Egypt, that mound, that Ben. If you look at Mesopotamia, they also had a mound or that mountain. If you look at even in the Aztecs, they had their temples and everything else, but what they did in those temples was according to their own imaginations. And it was kind of like they basically played the telephone game, where they heard the truth. They had the truth initially, although it was messed up, but they were closer to the truth then than they are now. And as people spread out and the story is passed on, is interjected with their own imagination, what they thought, everything else like that. So Abraham did come along to help facilitate all of that. That's why he raised it and told Abraham, I need you to go off to a land far further away, because first off, I need you, like for instance, if somebody's in the room and everybody's spreading around rumors in the room and everybody got the wrong idea, if you wanted to take one person and give them the truth, what's the first thing you're going to do? Take them up out of the room, because you don't want them to be earshot with none of that, and nor do you want what you want to give that person, you don't want that to be polluted with the people around him. So that's why we have the term holy or quadash, or to separate from. It means to set yourself apart. So the Most High called Abraham out of the land, brought him into a land that where he could say, all this I'm going to give to you, now we're going to start anew. And from him came the children of Israel, and through that nation, whether they followed it at times, and they did, he facilitated his law and how it should be followed, and gave us the correct understanding of how we're supposed to observe nature, how we're supposed to treat our fellow man, and this, that, and the fourth. And most of all, last but definitely not least, is how we have supposed to have a relationship with him. So once he have all of that, then he can incorporate that into the system and says, here, I'm giving it to these people. So when people think of the Israelites, try not to think of these simple culture people, or that's just their thing and this is everything else. No. They are the correction. They are sent from the Most High. They were facilitated specifically for the purpose of correcting what our imaginations got wrong. And that's all I want to say at that point.
And that's why they were sent down into Egypt. Even the prophecy to Abraham that his seed would go down into a foreign nation for 400 years, which we know boils down to 430. They went down there to even deal with the biggest system at the time, the Egyptian system, and they got brought up out of that. The Lord was showing them, you don't want to be a part of that system, because that system will oppress. That system will, everything that we see, not New World Order, Old World Order. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to take it back to the beginning and resurrect stuff. That's why they're trying to resurrect Egypt, and it won't work. It won't work. This debate is a wrap now, man. This debate is a wrap. They gave me something to talk about for the rest of the month and Black history and all of that. We are not Egyptians. In so many ways, we are not considered Egyptians.
Hey, do you mind if I read something right quick here?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you turn to Exodus 12:12, check this out. You can see how he declares his war, not against the people, because after all, the Bible does say that the Egyptians are my people. So he puts a distinction. And I don't know if anybody heard of Rabbi Rosenberg, but he also mentioned something key too, that he said that it was because of the intentions of their hearts that he is judging them, but not by the outward appearance as we would. Now check this out. This is in Exodus chapter 12, verse 12. It says, "For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both man and beast." And check this out. This is key. "And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute my judgment." So he declared his war, and I think there's another passage where he makes specifically, he said, "I am going to go against the gods of Egypt." He didn't say the Egyptians or this, that, and the other. They were the consequence and the collateral because of that. But his war was against the system.
He was showing how their fake gods could not deal with him. He went against the pantheon. Every curse was a particular curse to deal with a particular god. And he said that, he said, "I'm going to show the gods of Egypt openly," like he declares throughout the text that they hear not, see not, and so on and so forth. So he went down there and he attacked those certain deities by attacking those things that they were supposed to be over. Even the attack on Pharaoh, who was supposed to be a deity, a son of the deity, got attacked. That's why he killed the firstborn. And they keep asking that question, well, why did he do this and do that? Well, if you read the story and the narrative say that the Pharaoh had all the male children of Israel killed off and murdered. So Pharaoh was the wicked one in that sense, whoever that Pharaoh was, right? So now he was killing off the Hebrew children. For what reason? He was afraid that they might get up and become more powerful than him. So when he did what he did, he just brought back that which he sowed in the beginning. That's the simplicity of it. We could go into the depths of it, but I mean, there's no way that you're going to take the Bible narrative and make it seem silly. There's no way you're going to do it. And for those that out there listening and stuff, I mean, I could deal with Torah and Tanakh only too if I felt like doing it. But I know it's another part, and I deal with that too. But just staying in the Old Testament, Genesis to Malachi, is never a problem. It's still the book. It's just half of the book, as far as I'm concerned. So, man, this is a wrap, man. This is a wrap.
For sure, man. For sure. Hey, LeBron, you still there?
Yeah. So yeah, and you know, like I say, it's real simple. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, if you repping this book right, you know what it's saying. It ain't too much, you know what I'm saying, that you can't deal with to somebody trying to bring. You know what I'm saying? And you know, long as we stay and follow the protocol, it's been laid down and the premise has been laid down already. And I think that that's why people try to attack it so much, because they know it's the foundation. So if you can get rid of the foundation, then everything else will crumble and fall. And we see that right now. You know, we see that already. You know, and we see the Most High. And even in Genesis chapter 11, we see what he did. In Genesis chapter 11, he came down and he knew that the one of the things that he's saying that, hey, they all communicating, they all got one language, and they beginning to do some things that I don't want them to be doing, that they shouldn't be doing. And basically, you know, some ancient text said they was defying him. You know, so he immediately stopped that by cutting the communication problem. See, when everybody, and that's what they seeking to do now. Once everybody start back communicating again, they like, let's build, let's defy God. You know, the main thing we see when you look at Genesis chapter 3, we see man early on being introduced to a concept that they can be as gods. You know what I'm saying? And you know, basically being disobedient, even by being disobedient, you know, because we see it early on. You should be as gods, knowing good and evil. Then he told them, you should not surely die. So right then and there, they given a concept to where they can obey God and still gain this knowledge, and this knowledge is supposed to take them to supreme beings and gain immortality, so to speak, or some type of promise that was initiated to
Yeah,
them.
the mystery systems. That's what
Exactly.
that's what masonry built off of too. If you let them tell you from Ashquaquasi and stuff that masonry started down in Egypt, and we know that that masonry deals with the carvings into the walls and stuff too. So when you talk about masonry and them having the secrets, when you building them temples and stuff, and you putting those deities up in there and those things on the wall, which is masonry, then you understand now why they say they had the secrets and different stuff. Same
Exactly.
thing like you said when they built them other cathedrals and different stuff or temples, they put stuff in there and on the wall and they put those symbolic things up there. So most
Right.
people don't know what them things mean. So that's that coded language. So man, like I said, it's a wrap, man. I'm finna pull out my old blog talks and I'm finna start talking on this and we're gonna deal with all of this in Black history.
And then you know what's crazy about it too, though, because if we look at it right, if you look at Genesis chapter 3, what's crazy about it is that's why I say if you got Genesis chapter 3, you can take Genesis chapter 3 and actually defeat somebody alone just with this chapter, because that's how powerful it is. Hold on one minute.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would say that I mean the way I view the Catholic Church is that they are the closest to the source. 'Cause think about it. You had all these mystery systems that came about since Mesopotamia. You had them copying the same things, such as building the mountain or the mound or the pyramid. You had them doing atrocities on top of the mountain. The Aztecs when they sacrificed somebody there, or the Egyptians when they buried their dead and venerated them as gods. And you saw all of these things and how they did these. These were copied from thousands of years ago. Now, you have the Mashiach, the Messiah, Christ that comes on the scene. It's like the Catholic Church is like a fresh renewal of that revelation of Christ. Because if you look at the Catholic Church, they try to come from the whole thing about St. Peter being the first pope. But he says, you know, when Jesus came on the Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who does men say that I am? And that towards the end of that passage, it says, and blessed art Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father's in heaven. And, you know, he gives them the keys and so forth and so on. So they build their foundation based off of that. And if you notice, the Catholic priests, what do they wear? Like, they kind of like
Egyptian and Babylon stuff.
They got the combination of everything that was done before that, and they took from what the Christ established already and try to mix that in there. They wear the scarlet and purple, as you see in Leviticus, how the temple was supposed to be built.
Oh yeah.
All of that. So you see them. They see. Look, somebody told me this, and this sticks with me to this day. Somebody said, when someone tells you Antichrist, what does that mean? And I say, oh, it just means you against Christ. He says, no, it means counterfeit. He says the goal is that the system is set up to replace the need. Why do you think everybody believe in a God? Why do you think everybody see it's to fill? It's like basically formula compared to an actual mother's milk. It's synthetic. It's man-made. It's not the real McCoy, but it's made to taste like it and to fulfill those needs.
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing when we deal with eschatology. It's always a problem between me and LaRon and other people and stuff, especially when dealing with Revelation 17 and the mother of harlots. We know the spirit of Satan been around since the garden. We know that Babylon, unto mystery Babylon, is a whole system that has, you know, been here for a long time. But when you get to the Roman Catholic Church, it's the epitome of all of that because it done sucked up everything from the time of Babylon and all the mystery systems and all the craziness to its time. And this is where you see them saying plagiarism come in because the Roman Catholic Church makes Jesus Horus and Osiris and take all these different
Yes.
pagan uh, mythologies of these people and put them under the name Jesus.
Yeah.
So
Let me bring out something real
ties
quick.
in, man.
Let me bring out something real quick too. When you look at chapter 3 of Genesis, right? Watch what it says.
I got my sword right here, man.
Yeah, I got it right here too. Watch what it says. It says, and they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. It says, and Adam and his wife hid themselves. Now, have y'all ever noticed that when you deal with them coming into some information now, they want to hide out now? You see what I'm saying? They want to hide from the presence of the Lord. When you deal with these mystery systems, y'all ever notice they always be ducked off? They always be something that's hidden or hiding?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. The hidden hand.
Exactly. So when you deal with it and you look at it, that's what we see. That's what we see early on being introduced to them, an order being introduced to them. And this order is a system, and this system that we see that they're doing is caused the chaos that we see in this world now.
Yeah, but that's why Jesus came through and said, I'm the truth, the way, and the light. And
You got it.
anybody that does righteous and stuff, they do their works in the open so the people can see it. Those that do wickedness, then they love to play the shadow games. You know,
Check this out. Check this out, man. Y'all are on it, man. Check this out. So if you look at John chapter 3, after Christ talks to Nicodemus about what needs to happen in order for a man to be renewed, to come out of that, he goes into the story of how just as Moses raised the brazen serpent, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. But look what he says here in accordance to what y'all are saying. He says here in verse 19, and this is the condemnation, that light has come into the world, and men love darkness rather than the night, because their deeds for evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds be reproved. So basically he's saying this is how it works. When I come through, everybody's heart who's rendered to that, it's an automatic nature to hide. Yeah, it's an automatic. It's like I can't be seen.
Yeah.
The lightning came on and the roaches are scattering.
The roaches scatter, right? So,
and you know what's crazy about it though? Check this out. When you look at it, right, overall, right, now when we see these guys, right, these guys, man, they so hate this book because it manifests the deeds of our hearts. And they have started to reason with what's evil, and take on that pleasure and have pleasure in those that's doing wickedness, man. And so that's why if you look at it, that's why we're in the position that we're in, man, as a black people, man, because we take pleasure when our children and also when our family is doing wickedness, because half the time, if you look at it, half the mothers, half the fathers is right with their children at these clubs. They right with their children on these streets fighting. Is nobody to take no self-responsibility. And we see it here, because soon as this dude ate or partook of this information, this fruit of this tree, he immediately did not take self-responsibility, but said, the Lord, the wife you gave me. You see what I'm saying?
Check out the word of God when it worked, right? You know how the Israelites do it. Thus said the Lord God. This is the voice of God speak. If you want the voice of reason, it's the voice of God. The voice of God was walking in the garden. What do the books say? Just obey his voice. the voice that was walking in the garden, which is that light. But let's get into some metaphysical stuff. I'm not gonna get that deep with that. But when you speak, thus said the Lord to him, it kills him. The voice of God give reprove, rebuke, and all of that. That's why I said all the scriptures is good for that, to give instruction, reprove, and rebuke, and do all of that.
Right.
Bring it to him, it kills him. That's
Let
why
me
when
ask,
I
let me
told
ask
you
you a
I had that
question,
little
Carl.
conversation with Ashar, when I asked him, well, where's the scripture deal with homosexuality? You know what Maru told him? Maru said, hey, look, ain't no text in Egyptian text that tell you man can't lay with man and woman can't lay with woman. And they couldn't prove him wrong. So it's game over.
And then another thing too is we look at it, for instance. Let me ask you this question, because I heard people say this all the time. So I wanna ask you just on the panel. All right, listen. They say if I ask you and I say, well, Carl, uh, is there a God, right? We know you're gonna tell me yeah, right? I know you're gonna tell me yeah, there is a God.
Yeah.
Now, if you tell me is there a God, and I say, well, okay, Carl, if there is a God, I mean, if people say if you know that there's a God, and the majority of people are trying to say that there is no God, then how do we decipher or discern what is good and what is right? And most of the people, when you ask them that, you know what they're gonna say, right?
What's that?
They're gonna say, from your perception of what you feel that is good or is right, for reals, they're gonna say that there is. They're gonna say, well, there is no really
Subjective
no.
morality.
Yeah, they're gonna say there is no good or no right. It's just perception. That's what they'll tell you, right? Now that's the problem right there, because I can feel something that's right in my own world, in my own paradigm. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why it's important that we have written laws, because we see now, even me myself. Listen, if I can reason myself up out of something and make it feel good to my soul, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? But if I got something that's written down right there, and I know that, hey, look, I'm reasoning, but I look at this that's written down, and I see it don't match up, I'm gonna either have to line up or suffer the consequences behind what this contract say I shouldn't be doing. You see what I'm
What,
saying?
excuse me, what is the written though? It's nothing but what the ancestors was trying to convey to the next generation, because that's how you record stuff. Now you could get on camera and say, you could be dying of cancer and you could get on camera and you could tell your sons or your daughters, look, when daddy or mom's gone, this is that, and you leave them a record and you convey something to them that you will not be able to convey anymore to them, especially if they young and growing up, and you want to tell them about, they first time having sex or doing, stuff. You can leave it on tape now, but back then they kept a recordation of it by writing it down in some type of papyrus or on the wall or in some book. And that's all the Bible is. It's a historical conveyance of what was going on at certain times, what we was to do and not to do with certain things, for how we eat, how we kept ourselves clean, how we dealt with dead people, how we sacrificed or we did what we did to our God. That's all it is. Same thing with the Kemetic records, right? But at some point, the Kemetic records become none and void because it's a new paradigm on the scene, and this is what they not. This is what they not trying to recognize, that the recordation of the Israelites, but if you want to say mythologies or whatever, once again, my mythological God is better than yours. He kicked your God's tail from in our book, in our story. Your God ain't never whooped our God. So why wouldn't we have pride and arrogancy in the sense of the word? If we was talking the Super Bowl or my team is big, my team better than your team. That's just it. And that's what they got a problem with. They got a problem with the God of Israel just having a better team and a better coaching staff and everything. And we win. All we do is win, 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 no matter what. So they mad.
and yeah, and see, and that's the whole thing. That's why I say it becomes a. When you look at it, it becomes a joke because we look at people that say, "Well, you've been conquered by religion." That's what they tell you. But when you look at it, it's people that's conscious, and they dealing with spirituality, and it is religion, but they don't really see it because spirituality has some religion to it. And there is diversity. There's diversity of religions. But when you tell somebody they've been conquered by religion, and our people been conquered by religion, but then you turn around and you look in these streets and you see that, hey, these people ain't practicing religion. They doing something else. Because when you look at this book and you look at other religions, they have formal things that go along. And with those things as formal, you wouldn't be doing the things that they doing. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be drinking, overly drinking, or overly smoking, and substance abuse, and sniffing paint, and all this other stuff you're doing, and drinking syrup, and dealing with this witchcraft, because that's what it is. When you're dealing with a lot of these things, you up under the influence, and you up under this substance because it make you vulnerable to, guess what? To those spirits, to those
But
entities.
this the problem when they say you've been conquered by religion. You've been conquered by having a religious state of mind where you do things religiously. That's the people don't use the word religiously. If I watch TV or watch a certain show or I do something daily, then that's a religious practice. And I
Exactly.
do it religiously. If I go around and give love to people and give food to the homeless and take care of strangers and the fatherless and the widows and stuff religiously, then that's pure religion because that's what the Bible advocates. The taking
That's right.
care of the father, the mother, the widows, and keeping ourselves unspotted from the world
Right.
religiously. So that's what we try to do. We devoted to stand away from wickedness. So we religiously do certain things to keep ourselves from being unspotted in this world. And they don't understand the divine devotions, this, that, and another that the term religious carry, being religious or dealing with religion carries. And it's a defiled and a pure religion, meaning you doing things constantly or religiously, and it could be pure or it could be defiled. I
Exactly.
did that show. They ignorant of that, man. They can't get on the level. They can never ever, never ever get on a level.
You're rapping mode tonight. Hey, look, another thing too I want to bring out too. Like even chapter 2, check this out. Now people laugh at this and they don't realize this. It says the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, right? Now look, notice it says he caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. Now, if y'all notice this, most of the time, this is in the text. This is your first anesthesia of operation right here. Don't nobody never peep that, right? That you can put somebody in a deep sleep and begin to operate on them, right? Watch what it says. And he slept and he slept and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh thereof, and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto man. That's very important because this is genetic or gene splicing right here, and this is actually the first time that you will see in this text to where man has is in a process to where he has been genetically spliced. And when he's genetically spliced, if y'all notice, the woman that's come from him, she is a weaker vessel than him, even though he took on this form of what y'all say evolved or mutated. Even when you deal with the DNA and you deal with genomes, when you deal with mutations or when you deal with a copy, something that comes, it always loses some type of information. It never really gains to where it's at to where it's like it's at that point to where it's gaining something where is you know it's never at that point. It's always at the point to where you either losing information or you scrambling information. Well, in this case, we see that even the woman herself, when she was genetically taken from the man, she is a weaker vessel of the man. She's not overpowering him, and he is the one that's more dominant than her, as we see when we read the scriptures, and not just the scriptures, but literally. When we look at man in general, man is dominantly more stronger than the woman, and that's due to a reason. So we see that something was taken from him, and what was taken from him was a little bit lesser than him, but it still was him. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we got to realize. Even when you break it down genetics, when you deal with genetics and you see that something that's taken up out of genetic, we see that what's ever taken up out of that genetic is not over that person. It's a little bit weaker than that person, but for the most part, it's still a part of them. This is as God. When God said, come, let us make man in his image and his likeness, and he made man in his image and likeness, and from man he made woman, we see right then and there that man is a product of God, but he is a lesser product of God, but he is not to overpower the supreme intellect. So we see that early on, to where when you splice something and take something from something, it's not it's the same component, but it shares some qualities. But for the most part, it's like when you dub in something.
Yeah, that's why you get it when you get in the text. It say he called you gods. And the thing is, though, that we ought to get back to pure God status, where we celestial beings, you know, and we just like God right now. We just in this image and this likeness. So that's why they have to go to science and different stuff, because they just don't want to deal with the text. Because no matter how you look at the text, it's written in a way that you got to have a certain understanding and knowledge of the text. If you lack that understanding and knowledge of the text, then you're not going to make it. And so therefore you have to be initiated into the Israelite mystery system. That's the way it boils down to. And most of them initiated, even when you watch the little part of my debate with Dr. Mayat, which I know most of y'all probably didn't see it, that was their initiation into the system. That God don't do evil. He may send his angels to do evil, or he might even allow man to do evil. But you cannot put that on the God of Israel. And if you said there is no God of Israel, then how are you going to put that on something that doesn't exist? I watched, remember I was saying the other day, I'm going to watch God Is Not Dead. And that's how he beat the dude. Because he kept asking him, you mad at God, ain't you? You hate God, don't you? And he had to acknowledge God to be mad at him, to hate him. And game was over. You lose. Once you acknowledge him, then you acknowledge that he exists. And if he exists, and these words and things that he's saying in this text come from him saying now that he exists, and you hate him or you have acknowledged him, you lose. And that's the game that Zion was playing with Polite there on the couch. And once Polite said, I acknowledge other gods, but I don't acknowledge the God of Israel, then the game was over with. Because you acknowledge that God do exist, you just don't want to acknowledge him as God. That's right.
Yeah, a lot of when I used to debate atheists a while ago, a lot of them that was their point. It's like they were angry at the God of Israel. They had no problem with any other God at all, and I found that interesting. And one of the partners I was talking to, I said they're basically showing that they're psychopathic in a sense, because here they are wanting to disprove that God does not exist, yet they're putting so much focus and energy on an individual who they believe don't exist. And they treat that individual as though he does exist. They don't like him. They don't want to hear his name. So already he has a existence in a sense, because it is somebody that they know him. It's like they know his character. They know how he is. They don't like him.
They don't like that light that's being shined.
You already denoted that he exists by addressing him as him. So
they don't like the light that's shined by him or by his text. That's the problem. That's the same thing I told everybody. Say, "Oh, you lost to my yacht." Look, let's look at it, because this is what they debating. The Torah against my yacht. How do Israel doctrine lose to my yacht? Just think about the names. Just think about the names. This is Israel doctrine, and this is Dr. Mayat, or this is my yacht. Now, how do Israel doctrine lose to my yacht? By any shape, form, or fashion. See, it was the manifestation when I say you had two principles here, male and female, and knowledge gonna be born. What's up, knowledge born? They didn't understand. Them people didn't understand what I was dropping on them that day. They don't understand reconciliation. That's why we got a bunch of personal problems in the community, and no one is willing to reconcile. But you see, Sanetta, his mind and his heart, they got turned a little bit. He reconciled with the community the other day. He don't even know what it is that he did. He know, but he don't. He don't really understand it. But somebody must have pricked his heart. I think it might have been me and in commentaries and stuff, and showing how you got to get this money and how to do business right. Once again, I believe that I done turned this whole community upside down, and it ain't me. It's the word of God. I'm just the tool in his hand. So therefore, when I say the racket wrench turned the thing, then yes, it's the person that's using the wrench, not the wrench itself. So I'm just a tool. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, but I ain't the dullest either. So
That's the truth. Yeah, but
you said something about ain't that the truth? Oh yeah, I say you the livest button on air, because when they punch you, it's a quit it.
look. So look, y'all. You know, we see that early on, the choices and decisions. I did a little clip the other day. I was in my truck, and I talked about suffering, in the innocent blood being shed and suffering, right? Now we see that we can take these principles early on, because when we look at this chapter, we see early on that through what they did before, what the things that they did caused the generations to come to suffer and innocent blood to be shed. And this within itself is a pattern of foreshadow of something that was to come just as well. Because if we look at it, we see that the same pattern is taken into the tabernacle and also into the temple when you're dealing with the Israelites in the law. We see that innocent blood being shed and suffering taking place and atonement taking place. And this is something we see all over the world. All over the world, whatever decision you make, if it's a bad decision, it's going to cause innocent blood to be shed. And somebody's blood has to atone for that sin. Somebody's going to have to cover for that sin. Some blood is going to have to be shed for that sin. And that's what we see out here. So when you look at this book and you look at it, right, then you read Genesis, you get to the end. If you make a contract with somebody, say you with T-Mobile, whoever, it comes with terms and conditions.
Right.
This dude was told not to partake of this tree unless, or he was going to die. So right then and there, he was given life and death, because we see that the tree of life was there, and we see also that, guess what, if he partook of another tree that dealt with some information, he was going to be given death. Whenever you break a contract, you are under the penalties. So therefore, if you are up under the penalties, if you are capable to pay, then you pay. If you are not capable to pay because of certain standards to pay, because that's what this took place, then somebody's going to have to shed blood in order for you to be covered if you can't pay. And that's what we see. We see that the majority of people that make these decisions out there, they cannot pay, and they're not willing to pay. So therefore, innocent blood is shed. Even when you deal with evolution, evolution or the different diversities of evolution deal with one that innocent blood is shed. It is a survival of the fittest. It is like your boy Darwin said, the preservation of favored races, because he understood and he knew that it is a game of survival of the fittest. And because he knew that, and he realized that, he justified basically what white supremacy is doing to other nations and other people, especially the black race, because he felt that the black race was the lowest, and they dealt with a philosophy to cause one to be in the position that they in now.
The
And
black race is the
justified.
closest to monkeys. That's
Exactly.
what I'm trying to say.
Exactly, and justify it, and they justify it. So we see early on the thing to shed innocent blood to preserve themselves is actually there, or to cover themselves is actually there.
But deeper than that, it was just bringing about death. Something has to die for sin. Either you die or something else die. You know, that's where the whole scapegoat come in. Well, we're going to put this on him, and we're going to let him take the blame of the fall for it.
Exactly. So we see this all in.
Let me finish up one thing.
Actually, you know what?
Let me finish up one thing. This is the same way people sacrifice their children today when they put their Social Security number out there and put credit and different stuff on their children, and them children ain't did nothing. They suffer for their mother and father's financial burdens.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of look at it as a shield or a bulletproof vest. Whenever something is done, as far as a sin, we're sending something out there. And when it comes back to us, that is the result or the consequence of that sin. Basically, what the sacrifice is that thing taking your place for that payback or for that reaction.
Scapegoat.
For
That's
every
the
action,
terminology.
well, the opposite reaction. So when a nation sins, the measure of that payback will affect a nation. Or if a person is a king or have a spot of responsibility, where he's at, he's actually, what he sends out and comes back on will come back as a result of his responsibility and what he's in charge of.
Well, that's the biggest problem with Israel, for being the priest over the world and the priest over all nations. When we lack in doing our job, it causes a ripple and effect through the whole world, because we haven't taught the whole world about our God. And what was put before us, as LeBron said, in the garden was life and death. There go the tree of life, there go the tree of death, knowledge and good and evil. Choose this day which one you want to partake of, the tree of death, knowledge of good and evil, or the tree of life. And so therefore we have choices to make every day if we choose life and death in whatever magnitude that is set before us.
Exactly. Now watch this though. Check this out, because this finna get crazy. Now, when we look at this, right, we ain't gonna get crazy. When we look at this, right, check this out. Now he says, the tree of life. Watch this. Let's jump to it. He says, what is it? 17. 2 and 17. Genesis 2 and 17. He says, but of the tree of knowledge, in other words, knowledge of good and evil. See, this is the self-conscious. Because the self-conscious is what gives you the ability to decipher what is good and evil. You can look at conscience right now. Look it up. The definition of it for those that's listening in, right? So this is awareness, which deal with consciousness and awareness of the knowledge of what is good and evil. This is your moral, this is your faculty that was built in you, which is an aspect of God, right? But if you can't balance that right, then we see what happens. Now, but watch this though. Let me show y'all what Adam and Eve, what they invited into their paradise, because I want y'all to understand this. When you look at earth being made, earth is being made, but it is a extension of heaven. It is a extension of the kingdom of God. So God is extending his kingdom. So therefore, earth itself was one point of time a paradise or a heaven just as well, because it was a extension of God's kingdom, right? So watch this. What take place? He say, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now watch this. Watch this word evil there. The word evil there is ra. Now let's read it and break it down and see what it means. Israel crazy. Watch what it means. It says unpleasant, unhappiness, misery, displeasing, land. Bad of its kind, land and water, bad of value. Watch this. Sad, unhappy, evil, hurtful, bad, unkind, vicious, and disposition. Misery, distress, calamity, adversity. Now look at this, y'all. Now here it is. He's telling him, I provided you, gave you a home, gave you dominion, gave you all authority, and I only told you not to do one thing. Now, why would this dude partake of, and see, this is another thing in the Dr. Mayat debate, because she's saying that God is evil and he's bad, but he just gave Adam and Eve the American dream, so to speak. Certain things that you get that we want and desire, and he gave them a paradise, basically.
That's right.
Now watch this. Now, why would they sit up there and partake of this fruit of this tree or this information to cause distress, sad, unhappiness, bad, unkind, wickedness, deeds with actions, wicked deeds, thoughts, actions, evil, distress, misery, injury, calamity? These are the things that they accepted and took on. These are your ups and downs in life. Why would they take on an aspect of ups and downs in life? This is the duality that they took on of this nature that was embedded in them.
This how I initiated them into the Israelite mystery system, because Job told his wife, who was basically the manifestation of Satan, right? And I know that's what people be like, we always making a woman wicked, right? But he came to the weaker vessel once again to try to get the stronger vessel by coming through his woman, right? And this showed what Job spoke to his wife in a way that Adam did not speak to his wife. Job said, look, you speak like one of the foolish women. He said, are we to accept good at the hand of God and not evil also, seeing that he is the author of good and evil? But then I have to explain to him the evil that he's talking about, because everything that you just said is the manifestation of death. And to bring about death, you got to have earthquakes, you got to have car accidents, you got to have gunshots, you got to have abortions, you got to have all these things in the earth to make sure and ensure that man goes back to the dust of the ground. Because if you don't have cancer and all these things that exist in the earth, man can live forever. But man brought that disease and stuff to the earth because he chose that. He chose this. So you can't get at God. You can't get mad at God. Your children can't get mad at you if you give them everything in life and then send them out one day like the prodigal son and say, here go your inheritance, and you can go and live your life and get mad because you went out there and blew your inheritance. Just know what to do. Come on back home. And that's where you have to reconcile with God now and come on back.
Exactly. So people understand this. When it says in the scripture, it says that God created calamity. When it says evil, this is what it's talking about. In other words, God, for instance, if your child consistently doing something, I got 3, and you tell them, hey, stop doing that, and they keep on doing it, right? Eventually, I'm going to have to bring evil on them. I'm going to have to do something evil to them. I'm going to have to punish them, because punishment is a sign of evil, and it's there for a reason. And the reason why it's evil is because it's a calamity. It's a hurt. It's a pain, right? So,
right. It's a term, though. Make sure you make them understand that evil is just a term.
It's a term. We're not talking about sin. See, sin is why I'm penalizing my child, because what sin means is when I instructed you to do something, you went against or was disobedient, so that is a sin against what I instructed you to do. So therefore, I must penalize you. So it's a difference between sin and also the penalty. The penalty is that calamity, that hurt, that pain. So understand this. God, the Most High, already knew that if we would sin, the laws of sowing and reaping would be there. In other words, whatever you sow, you will reap, whether if it's bad if it's good. If you're sowing evil or wickedness and badness and sinful things, then you're gonna reap those things. So therefore, when we look at how we say evil, when we look at it, we're looking at it not as God created sin. No, we're looking at it that God created the law of sowing and reaping. So when you would do wickedness and you would sin, he will bring reproach upon you.
Yeah, bounding and loosing too. What you bound, I will bound. What you loose, I will loose. So when man loosed death on the earth, he made sure it was loosing. But as you just said, it's not evil. It's what the people call today karma. So
Exactly.
it's what you bring about. But the thing was, see, man brought death into the world, and then through Jesus' death and resurrection, he brought the resurrection of death, resurrection from death into the world. Meaning now you can surpass this situation of going to the ground, right? Eventually you will come out of it and you will live forever. Now, once again, in this journey called life, you have to choose if you want eternal life, eternal death, or eternal damnation. This is the choice that we have since the day we was born and reared up to the degree that we can choose between life and death. Because it comes a point where you old enough now that you know right from wrong. I don't care what you say. You have an instinct within you that if you do something, once again, if you go to a store and steal something and you know it's not really your possessions, something within you gonna tell you, I'm doing something wrong. I need to hide this. I need to do this. You ain't just gonna walk and grab it and start walking out the store because something in you gonna say, I have to hide this from the camera, from these people, so I can get away with it. And that's your conscience talking to you. That's your inner man. That's your inner being saying what you're doing is not right.
Exactly. And then when you look at it too, look, watch this when you bring this out. Because when it says in Adam all die, watch this. That's real deal. Like I told y'all, innocent blood is shed due to the fact of the choices and the decisions that we make. Watch this. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying that thou should not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow should thou eat of it in the days of thy life, and all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles should it bring forth to thee, and thou should eat in the herb, eat it in the thou should eat. It shall bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field, right? In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground. For out of it thou wast taken, for dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return. Now check this out. Now when you deal with this, what happens is Adam takes on a form and everything within him, he begins to take on the process of mutation. Why do I say that? Because now you're going to start dealing with diet, and you're going to start dealing with, guess what? Diet. Later on, climate comes in, but you're going to start dealing with your diet. Reason why I say that is because famine will take hold on him now. His land or whatever he till will not bring forth like it should bring forth, right? And we see that early on. So watch this. When he sinned, and when Eve sinned, Eve also was cursed in her conception, that she will bring forth in sorrow. Not only did she bring forth in sorrow, the animals also did bring forth in sorrow just as well. And we know that because they pain when they in sorrow. Well, how is, if Adam and Eve was cursed, how did this fall on the animals too? Guess what? What do the animals eat from? They eat from the ground. So therefore, when they eat from the ground, and if the ground is cursed for man's sake, therefore, guess what's going to happen? Your diet is going to play a role in your conception. Whenever a woman is not eating right and she's not taking her prenatals or getting her supplements, she's going to have a hard labor, and the doctors will tell you that. So that's another thing. When you diet and climate is how we mutate. For instance, what's happening is, for reals, is the genome is taking on mutations and mutations and mutations until it finally expires and it dies out. That's what's taking place within this body. The body getting old is just a process of mutations taking place and causing one to die out. That's what's happening within this body. It's gathering and collecting mutation upon mutation until it just self-destructs, until it's over with. Because as you're getting older and you're aging, that's what's taking place. So when we look at it, your diet, what you eat, what you take in, and information, food is information. That's what people don't understand. So if you're not getting the proper supplements or information to go forth, eventually you're going to die out. Eventually you're not going to survive. So we look at Adam taking on the stage and Eve taking on the stage when it says all died this in Adam, or through Adam all died. Death and decay or degeneration came by way of Adam and his sin and his judgment. He brought forth calamity.
That's where it talks about the food being spiritual. That's why I said a tree of knowledge of good and evil and the fruits of it, the tree of life and the fruits of it. That's when you get into the metaphysical or the figurative language, where it's giving you a deeper meaning and understanding. And this is what people have a problem with, because at the end of the day, the food you eat, as you say, the spiritual food you eat, is going to bring about life and death. That's your good and evil brought about death because they ate the wrong substance, the wrong food. They didn't eat the food or take in the spiritual information that brought life. You know, and then they're gluttons for ignorance and garbage and bull crap, right? They want to eat spiritual honey buns and spiritual colored water and stuff.
Exactly.
They want to go to the spiritual liquor store. Welcome to the spiritual liquor store.
So it's this is real simple, man. Like I say, with this chapter 3, man, I mean I'm pulling so much stuff out of it on a daily basis, man. I see that the first thing man did to resolve his problem was to cover himself with figs or aprons to cover his shame, because now he has become awoke, he's aware, and he's conscious now. He's self-conscious, and he has a self-conscious now. His morality, he has this light in him now. He has the knowledge of what is good and evil now. And the reason why the Most High didn't want man to partake of that, because we see that eventually the conscience can be seared. It can be corrupted. In other words, you can reason, as we talked about before, and say, well, this is what I should be doing, but it's evil as hell. You see what I'm saying? So you can't decipher. So we got 1,600 years in the antediluvian period where people is just doing all types of wickedness, and they're not following the knowledge that they have in them, what's good and evil. Matter of fact, it said they imagine only evil things. Whenever you imagine only evil things, that means you have seared or corrupted your conscience. Off the flip, you have seared and corrupted your conscience. That's the reason why. That's the reason why.
They didn't kill themselves and taking.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They didn't kill themselves in naming this debate like they did and did that. They want to put the
topic up. Put that up there again, Israel Doctrine. Yeah, man, it's gonna be real something real easy to get rid of. Look at this. Let me read this off.
See what they wanna attack Judaism, so then that way they could go into the Ashkenazi and the Khazars and the Kabbalah and all of that stuff, so they could deal with different stuff like that, which mostly the black community gonna kick against. You know what I'm saying? Cause I don't even roll with Judaism. I don't even roll with that Kabbalah and Talmud and all of that. I don't roll like that. But that's what they want to attack with that. They can't really deal with the Torah. If they just
Wow.
deal with the law, statutes, and commandments of God, that's cutting your throat. You know what I'm saying? You can't deal with that. But then that's why they got all these subtitles and stuff. Plagiarized Kemet doctrine. Nah, it's world doctrine. That's what they fail to realize. Some things came into Kemet. Kemet is not the oldest civilization in the world. So where did this Kemet doctrine come from? The people that came into quote unquote Kemet brought their teachings in there. So Kemetic doctrine is doctrine from other places. That's like saying New York got a doctrine or New York got something. No, New York is a mixture of all kind of southern people and people from the northwest and stuff that's coming to the northeast and settling down in New York. That's why it's a gumbo thing. That's what Egypt had. That's why they had a pantheon. They got a damn god from every different nationality or nation of people that came into Kemet, and they kept their god. They like, okay, we'll add his ass. What's that? We'll add his ass to the pantheon. Oh, okay, you got a god too? We add him into the pantheon.
Right.
That's what they fail to realize.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's read this top down what it says. It says Judaism and Torah on trial, and a thorough cross-examination of Kemetic science. Did the Hebrews plagiarize Kemetic doctrine? That's going to be easy to kill because we even dealt with some of that tonight. Did the ancient Egyptians have a God concept? We know they had a God concept already. They dealt with Netus, whether or not they was dealing with divine ones. Number one is look at the concept of God. Now watch this. God within itself means to invoke, to sacrifice, right? Invoke or to sacrifice to, right? When you read the etymology of it, right? So we see the early on in the Egyptian aspect, they were sacrificing to divine ones or to the deities of who they called the Aku or the transfigured or the exalted dead. We see that, right? So right then and there, the concept or the God concept is that's over with. We already dealt with did the Hebrews plagiarize Kemetic doctrine. We just dealt with Genesis chapter 11, which showed y'all that a part of this Kemetic or a part of this mystery system was passed into all the world. You cannot plagiarize something if you only have one language and everybody has the same information.
Can y'all tell me what this say? Can you read it?
Osiris or the Egyptian religion of resurrection part 2.
Who is it from?
What? I can't see it. Oh, E.A. Wallace Budge.
Okay, now in this book, which I just got from the parking library for 25 cents, they dealing with what? The resurrection, right? What's that right there talking about?
I can't see it.
I'm just saying, you see the picture?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
see.
Picture means something. Words is worth 1,000 words. I mean, picture worth 1,000 words, right? There go that little calf right there, right? Don't worry about it. I'm gonna bring some of this out. I'm gonna put it on a who is this cat right here?
I can't
You
see.
got this. What's this right here on his head? They wear the blue, white, and red, right?
We can't see that.
This right here. This brother dead, and he got the what? What's those things called in his hand?
Yeah, I can't see that. He got the rod and the staff. I see the rod and the staff, but I can't. That's all I see.
So now I know you will know if you can't even read this matter, whatever. I know you can tell what's going on here, can't you?
Yep.
What's that?
It's a that's the car over the on the bar that's over the is he standing up here? He in the sarcophagus, right? On the
Yeah,
laying down, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's the bird. The bar. He's over the they finna he's over the bar is over the house the body. You know what I'm saying? So the body that's his spirit or his personality, which is the spirit leaving out of him, and it's gonna go over into the afterlife. Well, it's in the afterlife, but it's gonna
This
go.
Hey Roo, ain't it?
Huh?
That's Hey Roo. That's that bird, ain't it?
Nah, that's the bar bird.
Nah, what steam bird is here?
I can't see it for real. Yeah, we can't see that, man.
All right, it's got the words at the bottom. Don't worry about it. But this is afterlife. What you doing in the afterlife? Who the hell you confessing 42 negative things that you didn't do in the life to?
Yeah, because see, here's the whole thing of it. Now, when you deal with everybody talks, we just got to talking about the conscience, you know, which is the morality or the moral stance of which is a faculty of good and evil, and the seat of the seats of the soul, basically the emotions, passions, feelings, appetites, and all desires, basically. Those things are within the soul. Now the soul is conscience. The soul has consciousness, and it has awareness. It also has a moral faculty which is built in it. We see that in the afterlife, when you deal with it from the Egyptian aspect, we see that the ka, the ba, the ib, which is the heart, the ka is the spirit or the vital force, a vital spark, and then we see the ba, which is the deals with on a spiritual aspect is activated. It's activated. The heck the is activated, I believe, after death, I believe, because it carries from the body, it's carried from the body into the until you cross over, right? So we see that, right? So then we see the ib, which is the heart. The heart is weighed in the per imheru, is weighed on the with the feather of Mayat, and then you see the scribe there, which is Tahuti, he's recording, right? And then you see also Amuk there just as well as Osir, you know what I'm saying? And we see also that in the Ani, which is the scribe, when we look at his Pert Emeru, he is also called Osir just as well, or Osiris or Osar. He's called that too because he is a judge and he must govern himself just as well. So he must govern himself, and if he does not govern himself accordingly, then he himself is judged. And well, he's going to be judged already, as we see or whatever. So when you come to the judgment hall, you get there, you have the feather and you have the heart, which is the ib. This is why they preserve the heart in the body. They preserve it, and when they preserve it, because they know that the heart is actually something that is the seat of a man's emotions or the feelings of a man. You know what I'm saying? His desires, his passions, his appetites, and all his desires. The heart has that. That's why they say the heart deals with love and all of these different things. Your heart is judged in the afterlife, and it's judged by Mayat. Well, what is Mayat? Mayat is concepts or principles which are universal that deals with what is good or what is evil, and this is balance. So it's balance. I'm sorry. What is good? I'm sorry, not evil. What is good? With the good thing that one should do, or it is balance. You see what I'm saying? So then, when you're dealing with the opposite of that, it's ishfet. Ishfet is chaos, evil, which is the opposite of mayat, right? So we look at it. If your heart is if your heart is not balanced, see, your heart has to be balanced. If it's not balanced with mayat, right, with this universal principle of what is good, then guess what happens? You are given to a moot. and Amut devours that heart, and you cease to exist. Your soul ceases to exist, or is devoured, or it suffers, basically, right? In the afterlife, and you are thrown into the lake of fire, or whatever the case may be. Now, if you succeed, then you pass on.
No. What they do, they get ate up by the alligator.
Yeah, Amut, but yeah, Amut, and also Amut. I think they talk about the lake of fire just as well too. I ain't sure though. I have to study it because I think they got the lake of fire in their text just as well. And if you are given, I mean, and if you succeed and you pass the test and you govern yourself accordingly, and you cite it what you're supposed to cite it, as far as the 42 confessions, then you move on, and you move on to a place of what they call the transfigured aku, the ak, or the aku, and you move into what you call the aket. The aket is the premortal miles, or set tepi, the beginning. So you start back over again, and you're reborn, basically. You're reborn back to the beginning, and when you're reborn, you still have to preserve mayat and also balance just as well, because that's what mayat is balance. And you have to preserve that in this world and in the afterlife. That is the duties of everybody, to preserve mayat. Even the king, and he's to preserve mayat. That's what he's supposed to do with his land. He's supposed to make deal with chaos, a war, and all of those things, and he's supposed to balance those things and preserve those things, right? I mean, preserve mayat. So then when you deal with the afterlife, you deal with the open of the mouth ceremony. These are the dead that speak for those in the living. So those in the afterlife speak for those in the living, and the dead, the ancestors, they take on the role basically of some of these elements that you see, far as wind, storm, and all of those. So when the ancestors believed it, they ancestors believed that when they died, that those that watched over them was their mentors, was their gods, and their divine ones. That's why when they came in and they marched in with their standards, and they had their standards and they had their flags that was on their temples, and these gods supposedly helped them in battle and helped them to preserve mayat, and spoke for them in the afterlife and received offerings for them. So these offerings was to appease these gods, and if these gods was not appeased, then they felt like that what happened was this is why they lost this war. This is why they was conquered, because the gods wasn't appeased with their sacrifices. So this is the whole theology when you're dealing with Kemet. And not only when you're dealing with Kemet, when you look at how the Nile or the Happy, how you look at how it was laid out, how it was laid out, it dealt with the theology and the makeup of the build of their temples and their gods just as well. When you look at the standing reeds, when you came into the temple, you came into the hyper crystal or hyper style columns. The hyper style columns. You had your northern and southern papyrus and also the lilies. When you whatever the way that temple was oriented, you came into that temple. When you came to that temple, huh?
I mean, you're right. That's why I like to make the statement that at the end of the day, that even when you say you're a real black atheist from Ankh perspective or whatever, if you study in the pantheon of Egypt, because if you say and Ra, that's a pantheon there. That's two different guys. Northern and Southern Kingdom guys came together, which is Amen and which is Ra. You dealing with the study of God. You a theologist, and theologists are theists, meaning they believe in a God. So you can't be atheist, anti-theist. It don't match, man. These damn people have been selling this Egyptology trinkets and philosophies and doctrine, getting plenty of money off of it, pimping just like the Sunday preachers by holding up these papyrus and different stuff, and it might be coming to an end. This is probably going to really show how these brothers been duking the community, running around him with all this craziness. Because if you believe in a resurrection, then damn it, the whole story about Jesus, about he died and resurrected. that he did it actually, and then you can say it was plagiarized, but that means you believe the same thing. So how you gonna say you don't believe now? And how you gonna say this is no good now? Because it was taken from your text if that be the concept. So yeah, man, all you Egyptologists, all you comedic now valley people that want to diss the Bible and all of that, all y'all stuff finna be. I don't know how good of a job they gonna do, but like I said, y'all done gave me really some Black History Month to deal with, because Egypt was black people, right? Unless you're gonna take the white man perspective and say they was white people. So we're gonna deal with the Egyptians, we're gonna deal with the Israelites, which was the same color as the Egyptians, look like the Egyptians, so on and so forth. And I ain't really got to do it. As I was saying the other day, I'm gonna go to the huddle and get these old shows to talk about everything y'all talking about now. And I ain't even gotta make no show this month. I could just pull up old shows and show y'all that these are 3-year-old conversations that has been smashed, killed by LaRon and everything. We go get LaRon stuff. Everybody on this side then killed and murdered and maimed that whole thing.
Yeah, it gets
So
ridiculous.
why they having a debate over it again?
Yeah, it gets ridiculous, man. And I think that, like I say, it's over with saying that they're not dealing with, this. And I think that's what the real black atheists now up them try to do. They try to say, well, this was dealing with evolution and this wasn't dealing with these gods. And I think that's what SETI came in and said was like, nah, man, like, we dealing with the ancestors that passed over, that crossed over, you know what I'm saying? And these are the divine ones. These are the deities. These are the ancestors that's watching over us. Whereas like on some other stuff where he didn't left best alone, the best is yet to come, or whatever the case may be. He left that alone, put his chicken stick down, his chicken beater down, and now he on some monkey stuff, some ape like stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And why was he shedding blood? Why are you shedding animal blood? Why are you shedding animal blood to best?
Yeah, he don't even know he participating in a atonement and innocent bloodshed, because that animal. Why you need that animal to appease ancestors that's passed away, that's gone? For what? You just wait. You just wait.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The cover been put off thing, guys, man. That's why I'm telling you. That's why them niggas will never let my voice be heard in the House of Consciousness, and they rather give it to somebody else that probably ain't gonna deal with it right, or wasn't dealing with it right, because obviously they had more debates out there.
Zion, that's gonna be on Talking Life tomorrow. So
yeah, I mean, Kalam doing this thing. He trying to get his game up over there. But I mean, I don't know, man. I was gonna bring the secret relationship between the Israelites and the Egyptians over there. I still ain't been able to bring it over there, even though I was the first one over there when all the other people were saying no. They ain't got time to deal with no low budget people. They trying to get on the House of Consciousness and that. I went over there and killed Shaka Opmo's game over Kodak's game over. You know what I'm saying? Killed it. He still wouldn't have a debate and stuff. Jonathan come kill it after I kill it. I mean, how many times you got to kill a book that's already dead? So once again, I done did things before these people and stuff. They don't be able to give me my credit, and it's due to the fact that I sat around with you and Lex and all of that, and we went over there and tore the squad up and stuff, man. But they don't want us. I'm like, now they don't want to let us get any shine of monetary gain from doing them in, and it stops their monetary gain. See, after this debate, plagiarizing the Bible conversation probably gonna be dead. All the stuff that they love to kick, all this stuff that goes on Facebook every day, all this stuff gonna be over with, man.
Let me ask you a question though. Why you think, man? I've been watching. I've been looking at Kalam, man, and he was supposed to do the response to the little video. I mean, to what happened when it goes in
Osiris.
with Scheme Osiris. when the schemers came on, I got the scheming. He was supposed to let us do a response to that, but he ended up not. I don't know if he's still gonna do it, but he hasn't said anything about it. But it just amazes me because I know Kalam is he Team Osiris is official because he had already he said he was to me or whatever when I asked him. But for the most part, I kind of think that like why do they keep putting together these teams dealing with these brothers that don't really don't really rep this information right? Like you can't go get the certain brothers, man, One West brothers, man, and still dealing with the chart and all this and that, and I think they're going to be able to come in the ring and deal with Scheme Osiris and some of the stuff they do.
Well, let me give you one of the most famous terms in the community because it get played over and over again, and he even begged for it to be stated on his show. A well-organized lie for a Kemet, Polite, Steady, Amin-Ra Squad, Timo, Schemo, Cyrus, Mossy Warrior Clan, and all these other well-organized academic scholarly lies that they bring to the table, right? Defeats a disorganized truth every time. So the fact that like the Hebrew Israelite community kick against me when I done been a victor. You know what I'm saying? And after my victory, they haven't even won no more. You know why? Because they turned on their own brother. Just because I gave salvation to the whole world, not just the Egyptian. Because as I said, the same verse to tell you don't uphold the Egyptian is the same verse to tell you don't uphold the Edomite. And from their perspective, the white man is the Edomite. Not this white man is the Edomite or that white man, but all the white men are Edomites. So the book said we ain't supposed to abhor him, we supposed to love him, he our brother. It's because I did what the book said and brought light to the situation. They kicked against me, meaning they didn't really kick against me. They kicked against the word of God because the word of God give this. That's the authority on it. So once again, when the priests don't want to do their job, then it brings about disunity, chaos, and everything else. And so they can't unify and they can't organize the truth. So this disorganized truth is being defeated every time by an organized lie because they organized themselves a long time ago with the Amin-Ra squad. That's why they want to try to get the Hebrew war machine. Now you just reactionary. You're not doing your thing. You doing their thing and trying to beat them with their thing. You trying to form the Wu-Tang Clan after the Wu-Tang Clan. That means you're not a leader, you a follower. You ain't blazing trails, you following trails. So now you doing as the Egyptians do, or the Egyptologists do, or the Kemetic people do, or the Nile Valley people do, which is the Amin-Ra squad, right? So once again, it's movers, shakers, and fakers. You know what I'm saying?
Fakers, straight fakers. Yeah, but like I say, man, it's 207, man, 307 on the East Coast, and 1207 on the West Coast, man. We chilling, man. I'm in St. Louis. Like I say, man, if like y'all, like what y'all hearing, and we can continue to do so for the most part. You can reach me at LeRon498@gmail.com. Y'all see the page, click and subscribe. Down below, click and subscribe. And we're gonna keep on trying to bring these late night, sometimes, just dealing with some topics, man, that's out here. Keep kicking this soul food. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to Do the Knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Talk Radio. For coming on through. Shouts out to the brother for coming through, man, and also Carl Albert and Kevin G. You know what I'm saying? Me and Kevin G got some work to do, so we're going to be bringing some fire, some heat just as well. We're going to start getting off into these molecular machines and the intelligent design. So be looking out for us, you know what I'm saying? And we finna put a lot of things on hold, man, that's going on out here. A lot of these brothers dealing with the evolutionary philosophy. you know, we're gonna deal with that because evolution is definitely a religion, and we're gonna deal with that. You know what I'm saying? So then also just as well, you know, like I say, Facebook page, bust the Bible like a rifle. Come get at us on there. You know what I'm saying? We on there. We doing what we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? If you want to deal with something, to tag me in something, you can reach me on there. You know, when I'm in Talking to Titans, I try to be in there when I can, but you know, they got too much going on over there, man. You can barely even post over there. So if you want to post freely, post things, come to bust the Bible like a rifle. You know, just respect the rules. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like I say, you know, we ain't got nobody in there to where your post is being upheld, and you know, some people deleting your posts. You know what I'm saying? Even when it's dealing with information, especially when you're dealing with brothers that's from the Team Osiris or Scheme Osiris. You know, that's gonna be the new name for them. We gonna have everybody saying Scheme Osiris. That's gonna be out there. You know what I'm saying? So then also we got who we got Facebook page, LaRon G Consciousness, Blog Talk Radio. You know, Blog Talk Radio. We're gonna try to at least start hitting this thing once a week at a steady time or a consistent time. G Consciousness Radio. You know, go on there, listen in. You know, and let me know too, cause I do a little comedy too. So you know, we could do probably some Saturday night roast. So, you know, you know, it is what it is. You know, for those that heard me get it popping, you know, y'all know already that I'm capable of dealing with some comical things, you know, dealing with these characters out here. So let us know. Like I say, shouts out to Scheme Osiris, man. They got them records on deck, and also them credit reports on deck, and credit repair on deck. So you know, if y'all need that done, and you know, I think they, you know, do it for a small fee. Go over there and donate, and they get you them police records on deck, and you can pass those to your job or your employers without having to go down there to the court building or whatever the case may be, or go down there to the city hall. They got those on deck. You know, police records is on deck. You know, Kufu already put the word out. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Yeah. With that being said, man, you know, we just doing our thing, man. Israel Doctrine once again, man. I see you got the EA Wallace Bud, so I see you got some reading you're gonna be doing, man, and you know, breaking down this debate. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. You know, I'm gonna look some more into it and deal with these titles. You kind
You
of,
know, I don't want to beat them up too bad. I'm gonna let them have the debate or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So
Like I said, I done dealt with this. What, I'm breaking up or something?
yeah, you breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's my computer or yours.
Yeah, I'm uploading something on YouTube right now. What I'm dealing with is the Pantheon. So it's gonna be the Huddle with Israel Doctrine, a study of the Pantheon. And so, you know, we dealing with the Egyptian Pantheon. I done already dealt with it.
Was that the only EA Wallace book that they have for that 25 cent?
Yeah, I was looking for part 1, but the library's supposed to get 400 new books in. So I'm gonna go up there and cipher through them and see what I can get. 400 new books is probably gonna be some more stuff that I can deal with.
Yeah, Bubba. So yeah, you know, it is what it is, man. I know they be, you know, they say little stuff about. Hold on for a minute. Let me see.
You know, for the most part, you can hold it down, though. I ain't even really into studying all that Egyptian stuff. I just need a couple things out of it to qualify what I be saying. You know what I'm saying? I just need a couple things, and it's about the resurrection, so I could deal with them, even in the afterlife, who they talking to and what they dealing with, that alligator and all of that stuff. You know me, I ain't trying to get. I don't care about that Egyptian stuff like that. You know,
Exactly.
my ancestors got history down in Egypt. My ancestors got history down in Egypt, but that's when they was Hebrews, when they left out of that era. And I'm all about, you know, nationalism. So I'm an Israelite nationalist. I'm trying to but don't play no music, man. You know, if you play music, they'll mess up.
It mess up what?
You'll get some views, but you won't be able to monetize if you want to. It'll mess up your monetization if you want to do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you want to start monetizing any videos or whatever, but you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to you about that later on this week because I don't really know what you're talking about at all.
Getting money.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, I ain't.
You know, like rich boys.
No, I'm still in the struggle trying to do these until I can build my subscribers up and people who listen, my listeners up. So once I build that up, then I can do what I gotta do. You know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. We finna go and get on up out of here, man. It's peace. It's been nice talking with y'all, man. It's late night. You know, 2:14. You know, peace and blessings, man. Hopefully somebody, was able to eat some of this soul food and digest some of it. You know what I'm saying? I think we did what we had to do tonight. Like I say, man. With that being said, I just want to say peace and blessings, and may the Most High reveal Himself and give us all understanding on our journey, and that we, make it through this path, man, and get to where we need to be at with Him. So with that being said, I just want to say peace. Israel Doctor, you got something you want to say?
Nah, man, it's just I got a new blog talk, which is an old blog talk right now, and that's blogtalkradio.com Black Intel. So that's our Black Intel, which is the same thing on YouTube, our Black Intel. Not YouTube, but Twitter, our Black Intel. On YouTube, it's Black Intelligentsia Live. You know, we live over there, like that button on the screen. But nah, man, people know, they know how to follow. They know my name, they know my face. It's a lot of stuff need to be done. People, 2016, pretty much the resurrection of the Israelite community. You could say Hebrew Israelite community, Israelite community. There's a lot of things gonna get fixed in that community, and when the priests get back on their job and stop all this, disobedience of the strangers that's willing to sojourn. Once we get that out the way, then we'll be able to be priests to the whole world and straighten up the madness that need to be straightened up, which will bring back the line of Judah, because that's the only way you're going to come back. The church has to do what it has to do to bring about the tribulations that have to come about upon the earth, and that's when they come back. So, the 6 days ending, meaning the 7th day is on the way, which is the Millennium Sabbath. So, we're supposed to do double work on the 6th day, because we don't get to do no work on the 7th. So, people got to get about their business, man. Nah, I keep this stuff. It's this second nature. I just don't like getting into it like that and stuff, But the 6th day will soon be in, people. We'll be in the 7th. We gotta get double work in. We just told you what and you see talking about this spiritual food, the soul food here at night. So if you want to eat good, you gotta double up on the 6th day. It's just more work to be done. So with that said, new website coming out, israeldoctrine.org, where I really start ministering and I get out of this craziness. I'm going to retire from this craziness and just start teaching the book and teaching the information and get away from the crazy folks, because this black community right now is, and this conscious community is full of, want to be thugs and gangsters and mafia figures and bosses, and like they running stuff and everything. They the Teflon, dons of consciousness and all of this stuff. I don't know what's going on with this community, man. I know one thing, after this debate, it should be over with the Hebrews, the white Hebrews, the black Hebrews, or whatever. And then it'll be time for us, like I said, once again, just like before the Kemet on trial, I will call it again, in-house wars got to start up, y'all. We have to sit down and settle our beefs and what we got going on so we can become a more collective, cohesive group going forth, spreading the true word of God by the true priests. You know, no bite my tongue. We're the true priests, you know. So with that said, this Israelite nationalists, which know that we're supposed to be a kingdom of priests, right? A nation of priests. You know what I'm saying? Israel, get on your job. All this hate should be motivation. So with that said, I'm through.
All right, y'all. Peace. We out here.